thanks for joining me. Today we're going to talk about how to do bird dogs and dead bugs the right way. There's some silly sounding exercises but are really good for helping stabilize and strengthen your core, especially when trying to build up to certain exercises like planks. So we'll start off with bird dogs. Bird dogs, you're going to go on all fours and you're going to have your hands about shoulder width apart and your knees about hip width apart. Some things to think about when doing bird dogs is you don't want to let your shoulders sink down. You really want to push through your hands to help keep everything nice and active during this exercise. Another thing you want to think about is keeping your core nice and tight and keeping your head right in line with the rest of your torso. Another thing that I see a lot of people do is they lock out their elbows. I'm not able to hyperextend my elbows. That's something to look at to see if you are hyperextending or locking out your elbows, is to look at the crease of your elbow. When your elbows are locked, you're going to see the crease of your elbow facing forward. So when you keep them unlocked to keep them nice and active, you're going to see them facing in. So take note if you're seeing your elbow facing back and your crease facing forward, then you know you've got to loosen them up a little bit because we want to keep everything as active as possible and have the least risk of injury. So when doing a bird dog, tighten up your core and you're gonna lift up your opposite arm and your opposite leg and bring it back. Something you wanna pay attention to when you're doing this is when you are at the top, you wanna make sure that this hip is not dipping down and you're keeping your core super tight so it can maintain a neutral position. And another thing is that when you're lifting up, you really don't wanna be arching your back or lifting your head up. So if you are unable to keep a neutral pelvis without it dipping down when you're doing this exercise, you can start in just a little bit of a smaller range and see if that helps. And if that's still too challenging, you really can just lift up and hover. Or you can just do one at a time. Just lift one arm, just lift one leg. And now moving on to dead bugs. So a dead bug, you're gonna lie on your back and you're gonna have your hips and knees about 90 degrees. A lot of people bring their knees in really far, and the further in your knees are and less to 90 degrees, you're getting a much less active core workout and activation. So same thing, you're gonna do arms straight up and you're going to lift lower your opposite arm and leg. So a couple things to think about here. If as you are lowering your one leg, your other knee is coming up, that means you're probably going a little bit too far and you're unable to maintain this neutral core. Another thing to think about is not arching your back as you go. So if as you're dropping down, you're finding your back arching, then you're probably going too far. So a lot of people feel the need to tuck their pelvis all the way down to get a super, super flat back. But unless someone has told you, like if you're at risk for a herniated disc or a doctor has specifically told you that you need to flatten it down, then really what you want to do is just, I have a pretty curvy back, and so I really just want to keep it nice and tight right where it is. I don't want to let it arch, and I don't want to tilt it under, because that for me is not a functional position. When I'm up and walking, I'm not tilting my pelvis under and walking like this, so it's not a really functional stability exercise for me. So really you just want to keep it nice and tight, and as you're going, you just want to keep everything just in line. So, things to think about when doing bird dogs and dead bugs is to really try and keep everything nice in line. Keep a nice tight core, and in general, the slower you do these exercises, the harder they're gonna be, the more challenging they are. These are not exercises you wanna race through to get done as fast as possible. Doing less quantity with better quality will serve you best. So, thank you so much for listening and joining me. Hit subscribe if you'd like to see any of my other videos and drop any comments or questions you might have below. Otherwise, until next time, remember to listen to your body. Don't do it if it hurts, and I'll see you soon.